Hi everyone! Welcome back to Cayton Recess. My name is Marissa and today we will be making Nature Resist Paintings. If you've been watching our videos this week, you know that the amazing Andres has been talking all about friendship. So ways that we can be good friends to other people and the amazing things that our friends can do for us. And not just our people friends, but also our animal friends. And today is a very special day. It is Earth Day. So I thought it was also a good chance to think about the ways that we can be a really good friend to the planet that we live on, Earth. The materials you will need for today's project are a blank piece of watercolor paper, because we'll be using watercolors today. I will actually be using only green and blue watercolors. And of course, for watercolors, you need water. So we got paper, blue and green watercolor, a paintbrush, possibly two if you want, and the objects we find on a nature walk. So I took a walk around my neighborhood. I made sure to socially distance from anyone I saw, and I wore my mask. But I was collecting things that I'd seen that had fallen on the ground, things like leaves that have fallen off trees, twigs and small branches. I picked some weeds that I knew wouldn't be missed. I also found a few rocks. Things like that. Take your grown-up with you. They'll know what you can grab and what you shouldn't. But you will need maybe a plate or a bowl full of natural objects, because the earth, instead of using plastic or something like that, we can use these natural materials in our artwork to remind us that the earth is a beautiful, wonderful place that we are so lucky to live on. Another thing you might want to grab is a tray. You don't need it, but I know that I can get a little messy when I paint. Maybe you do too. So I want to make sure that I'm putting my painting on the tray and not on the table. I'm ready to go. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the blue watercolor. So I'm going to dip my paintbrush in the water and dip it in my watercolor. And I'm just going to go ahead and paint this whole piece of paper blue. So easy. Just gonna go back and forth with my paintbrush and fill it up till it's all blue. And the reason I'm starting with the color blue, or I picked the colors blue and green, is because that's the color of Earth, the planet. It's a lot of blue and a lot of green. But we're starting with the blue because most of our planet, I think it's 70%, is made up of water. That's right. Most of the planet isn't actually land, it's water. So I figured the background for our paper today would be blue, and we'll paint on top of it with green so it can kind of look like Earth. Maybe not quite. So I'm just gonna keep painting this. And when you're done painting your paper blue, you should wait a little bit for it to dry. It doesn't need to be all the way dry, but you wanna make sure that it's not gonna rip if it gets too wet. So it needs to dry at least a little bit. So I actually painted another piece of paper. This will be my second one that I work on later today. But I actually painted my paper earlier, so it's nice and dry. So we're gonna start with this. So once you have, step one is paint your paper blue. Then you gotta wait for it to dry. Next step is to take the natural materials you have and start placing them on your paper in whatever pattern you like. So we're not going to use glue or tape, so you can keep changing it as you need it. So I actually found this really cool flower. So I'm going to put it upside down. I'm just going to see what happens with it. I'm just going to see. I want that one to be in the center of my painting. And I'm going to make a pattern. So a pattern is something that gets repeated. Oh no, my flower fell. It happens. Okay, so I'm arranging my found objects in the pattern I want, because I'm going to paint over them with the green paint. So that means, let's see, that can go there. So that means anything that I'm currently putting on, the outline of it, so the part around it will be green. But when I lift it up, when I'm done, underneath is going to be blue. So the nature is going to resist the the green paint. And that's why we call it a nature resist painting. And you can also do this project with tape. Don't need to use watercolor. I just like it because it makes a really cool effect. I also found some 3-leaf clovers. Didn't find any 4-leaf ones, but I'm gonna go ahead and throw them on here. Okay, so now I have my pattern, and I'm happy with it. I think I'm done rearranging it. Oh, you know what? No, I found this one more I want to add here at the bottom. Okay. So now I'm going to paint over all the leaves with the green watercolor. So I'm going to dip in the water. Still a little blue, that's okay. Get the green watercolor going. Okay, and I'm going to start on one side and work my way over because I know I'm going to need to use my fingers to hold all of these in place. So let's start with, here. We'll start with you. Your fingers might get a little bit messy, but that's okay. So we're just painting on top of our 4-leaf clover, on top of the blue. So I'm really curious to see what this blue and green make. I'm just gonna keep dipping my water. Now I'm gonna paint the grass. It's gonna be a mix. Let's see. And you just keep going until you've painted everything. Now, if you decide, you can change up the colors if you'd like. You can do opposite colors. You can also not paint your painting beforehand and just paint the whole paper green or blue and do it all at once. For me, I just like the effect of having the multiple colors. My flower fell again, but that's okay. I'll come back to it in a moment. It's not gonna really affect anything if it falls. Ooh, let's see, and there we go. See, that's why I said it doesn't really matter where you put things because they're gonna move around as you paint them, and that's okay. The whole part is that it's really fun to do. And that's the whole point of doing art, right? We want to make ourselves happy, maybe make somebody else happy when we show them our artwork, but it's really about finding the joy in the moment. Okay. Maybe something you could do with this painting is give it to a friend. Make a card for your friends. I don't know about you, but it's been really hard for me not seeing all of my friends all the time. Has it been hard for you too? Yeah, it can be hard. I know we're doing the right thing by staying inside, but I miss my friends. That's okay. I might just send them a nice little nature resistance painting for Earth Day because I know they care about the planet too, and they might want to enjoy making their own. So now I am wrapping up, and you have the choice now of whether you would like to leave. Oh, I forgot one more leaf. I gotta make sure I get all the leaves otherwise, because these natural materials aren't staying on this paper. I'm gonna take them off eventually. And what's gonna happen is they're gonna leave behind a little print. I hope. We'll see. Okay, and now you can wait for your paper to dry. I'm gonna go ahead and take them off now, and we're gonna see what kind of patterns were left behind by our painting. You know what else we can do? Onto our... So this is the end result of our nature resistance painting. You can see the 4-leaf clover, the leaves, the pieces of grass I used, the flower. And if I wanted, I could keep going and try to paint, make the whole thing green, but I kind of like leaving just the outline of them. I think that looks cool. And I might send it to one of my friends. Thank you for joining me again for Cayton Recess. If you do decide to make your own nature resist painting, I would love to see it, as always. So please don't forget to use a hashtag Cayton Recess so I can see the really cool patterns and objects that you come up with and find. And I will see you next time. Thanks for joining.